guys, we're going to be doing an Artsnacks box opening for November of 2018. I used to get these boxes all the time. It has been a little bit, so I'm actually pretty excited to kind of see what's going on with this. So the first thing we have is a Liquitex acrylic gouache. This is going to be actually very interesting because I have not used gouache in about 10 years. Last time I did was for a college design class, and even then it was the Reeves gouache, which Reeves is it is a nice affordable brand, but some of the stuff's a little more cheaply made. Some of the pigments can be a little chalky because of the binders they use, and all of that good stuff. So it will be interesting to see how this applies differently to something like that. Now I'm going to be reading the description that is on a little bookmark that comes with every Artsnacks box that kind of details each of the items that are going to be in your box. This fall, Liquitex is introducing new paint for a new artist, acrylic gouache. Say goodbye to visible brushstrokes and cracks. This ultra-pigmented paint has a solid matte finish that does not reflect light. With excellent fluidity and application, there's no need to dilute this gouache with water. Thanks to its acrylic base, it's permanent and water resistant when dry and cannot be reactivated with water. Pair this paint with your new Winsor & Newton brush and be amazed at its smooth performance. Perfect for design, illustration, and fine art. So we're getting a brush too, awesome, but that actually sounds like, for gouache, a good thing, at least for me, because normally the issues I did have with the gouache I was using was the cracking, the fact that it wasn't as opaque as it's supposed to be, and once again, just the fact that it could reactivate with water, because it would be really frustrating to try to get layers for a solid base when you have all those brush strokes and you're trying to cover it up by adding a new layer, because with most paints, that's how it works, is you try to do everything within your power to get that base layer nice and opaque and smooth. The problems with the gouaches that I tried to use was that basically it would lift up when you're trying to layer it to make it more opaque, which leads to something kind of gross looking, and it's not the best for that kind of application, honestly. Next, I have a cute little Artsnacks logo sticker. It's a little pretzel-shaped pencil, and this one's in kind of a nice fall-themed plaid color. This is the snack thing that comes in everything with Artsnacks. There's usually a nice little sweet treat. This time we have sweet tarts. Nom, one of my favorite candies. Okay. We have a very nice, feeling sturdy, heavy, thick pencil here. It's a Krita color Mega Graphite pencil in 9B. So this is going to be a really, really soft lead, which means it's going to be able to get some really, really dark tones. But also, since it's softer, it's going to blend and smudge a little bit more. I do like the heft of that pencil, though. And I'm just going to be reading again, like I said, that little bookmark that comes with it that has the descriptions. This pencil deserves full marks with an exceptionally strong jumbo 10mm diameter body. The Cretacolor Mega Graphite pencil makes a huge statement. It's loaded with high-quality graphite, formulated to be extra smooth and easily blended. The traditional hard cedarwood casing can be sharpened to a clean, fine point, ideal for thin lines as well as covering large areas. This pencil is available in a variety of grades. Which one did you get? So I got 9B, so I got one of the deepest, darkest ones. Apparently in your box you could be getting something that's a different grade lead. So let me know if you got this box, what lead you got. And also, did you guys get the red paint too? Or did you get a different color? I'm always interested in that as well, because every single person typically gets well, not every single person. There's usually different colors that you can get, and I've noticed I tend to get a different color than most people who post online. So if you could, comment below and let me know what you got. The next item is that brush that we mentioned earlier. It's a Winsor & Newton Galleria round brush in size 3. They are getting a little bit smarter with some of the shipping, because I know in a previous box I did not have this little plastic tip, which helps keep the brush safe. So one of the brushes I got was pretty bent before. So this is good to kind of show that they're learning from those kind of mistakes. it wasn't as big of a deal when the brush was bent because you can always wet it and dry it and kind of tease it back into shape, but you know, saves a little bit of extra work, and anytime you can keep an item from being damaged in shipping, I'd say is a good day. So, this is a description about that Winsor & Newton Galleria short handle brush, round size 3. Specifically designed for use with acrylic paints, the Winsor & Newton's Galleria short handle brush features a unique blend of synthetic filaments developed to provide control and shape retention. Acrylic color places heavy demands on brushes, which is why Winsor & Newton made the Galleria strong and resilient, yet flexible and sensitive. This short-handled version is ideal for close-up work and fine details. And you can see that is a pretty nice little thin tip there, and it comes to a very good point. That will be really good for line work and for getting those little details in. I actually really, really like how that looks so far, but you know, brushes are always fun to get. They're fun to play with. All this stuff's going to be fun to play with. Next we have a Sakura Micro Perm Ultrafine Marker in black, and it looks like it is 01. I personally feel like I have a lot of black markers, specifically from previous Artsnacks boxes, because that, along with a pencil, do seem to be some of the really common items you'll get. Not that I'm upset about it, because honestly, for a lot of the work I do use a lot of black markers, and usually the finer tips the better. Which that is a beautiful baby fine tip. You can barely even see it on camera. But that would be good for some really, really fine lines. And once again, we're going to be reading the description of this little marker here. The Sakura Micro Perm pen works like magic. From paper to diamonds, this pen writes on almost every surface imaginable. Its black ink is waterproof and permanent, perfect for making precise, long-lasting, fine lines. The nib also has a protected tip, so you don't have to worry about splitting. That's good to hear, because splitting on markers is pretty common. I know there are some, I can't remember the brand right now. It's Arteza, I'm not sure how you say it. But I bought a big box of Arteza markers from Amazon because they had a bunch of different colors and I needed some fine line tip ones. And after doing like one drawing, the red just started splitting really, really badly, and another one ended up losing ink. If you guys are interested in me kind of talking more about those markers, just let me know in the comments below. This is, oh wait, I thought that was the last thing in my box. But no, we have just another little Liquitex thing here, which honestly, I mean, Liquitex and Artsnacks have a very good relationship with each other. As far as I can tell, they are kind of always working together, which is awesome. I typically love Liquitex products in general. Almost all of the acrylic paint I have is Liquitex, and it's typically the heavy body because for me, that's just like the ideal texture and color payout for it, which is pretty awesome. That's all the items that I currently have in a box. On Thursday, November 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, they're going to have a live demo of the Liquitex acrylic wash on their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/artsnacks. So if you're interested in seeing a demonstration by some professionals about how this stuff is supposed to work, that would probably be a good way to kind of learn. Anytime you can learn something from the company who makes it, it's typically a good way to go. They also, on our little sweet bookmark we have here that has all the information for all the products, it looks like they've added jokes, which I don't recall that being on there before. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done this. Where do artists go on vacation? Colorado. Collar. It's pretty punny. That's definitely a pun going on. Another question that should always come up with any time that you are doing a box like this is kind of if it's financially worth it for the items that you're getting inside, because I know there are some where they are basically charging you way, way too much for the items that are actually in there. The box that I choose to get is $25 a month, and as far as I can tell, I mean, it's not too bad. because the Liquitex acrylic wash, the manufacturer's retail price is $11, well $10.99. The brush is $8.49. The pen is $2.79, and this is $2.30. So we have the little candy, which I know, especially if you buy them in bulk, is not that bad. Let's kind of calculate how much money this would be right now. So yeah, honestly, you're basically paying 43 cents more for shipping, handling, and then the extra 2 items, because the retail prices on these things altogether, obviously, without including the sticker, this, or the paperwork, is $24.57. So you're paying 43 cents more for basically this stuff, and then for shipping, which isn't bad. I'd say that's a pretty good thing. I don't know about you, but I am ready to test this stuff out. And I'm going to be using a small piece of mixed media paper from Royal Langernickel. This came in some art supplies pack that my mom got me from Michael's last year, which I'm actually surprised that this is an actual company I've heard of for this. But we are going to be able to kind of see how these work, especially because this is mixed media paper. And it honestly feels like a heavier watercolor paper. It's pretty textured. I think this will hold up pretty well to what we're going to be doing today. So right now, what I'm going to be doing is kind of testing out marks and how everything works in that way. And I might like paint a quick eye or something. Maybe do a little quick eyeball painting because I got the red and I love my reds. I might have to pull in a white marker or something, but we'll see about that later. And I'm going to apologize for 2 things right now. First of all, I'm congested today, and I can tell that my voice is already kind of starting to go, so I apologize if I'm a little raspy. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. And I also apologize for some weird noises you might hear in the background. It is winter here, my furnace is clicking on quite a bit, and my one cat is playing in a laundry hamper, a fabric one, because that's just what he does. And I'm not going to stop him from doing that. So first, I'm going to kind of test out our pencil here, but we're going to turn off that autofocus because we don't need you anymore, buddy. Okay. Yeah, I can see being able to fill up a good chunk of paper with this. It's not as dark as I thought it was going to be, but that is good in a lot of ways because you can kind of build it up. I think I'm also spoiled from the ebony pencils because those are usually like the darkest I can get with a pencil, and I love those guys. Those are honestly my favorite pencils to use, and I will tend to use those over anything else in a drawing. If I'm doing a sketch for something, I do tend to use a lighter grade. I shouldn't say lighter grade. I tend to use a harder grade pencil. So anything in the H family, because it's not really going to show through for a full project. And a lot of times with acrylic paintings, I will use either an acrylic marker to sketch it out, because you're going to be painting over it anyway, or I will use a water-soluble watercolor pencil, because that will also fade away. Every once in a blue moon, like pastel, because that'll kind of get covered up really easily and kind of mix with the paint and fade away a little bit too. But yeah, you can also get a pretty light grade with it. And like I said, not quite as dark as I'd like to be able to get, but I do like the heaviness of it. I like how this has weight to it. Because for some reason, with almost any product, I'm like, ooh, it feels heavy and expensive. I like it. We're going to be playing with the marker now. Oh yeah, I like this. You can get some really nice little thin lines, which I know you're probably not able to see on that camera right now. This is not something for a nice thick line though, because to get something thick, you have to kind of go back and forth, which is fine. I'm going to try to hold it up to the camera so you can kind of see a little bit better. But yeah, these little thin lines right there, that is from that marker. So that is pretty nice and delicate. I do like that. That'll be great for detail work. And now the paint. But first I need to grab a cup of water for the paint. Because even though it says you don't need to use water, I'm going to use water. Be right back. I've got my plastic cup of water, which I've got from a dollar store, because why would I be spending a lot of money for a cup that's just going to get covered with paint? I've also cut open empty water bottles, empty milk jugs, obviously after washing out the milk jug. You need to do that, because if you don't, that's bad. Very, very, very bad. Ugh. Not from personal experience, I can just imagine. So the cap for the paint is a nice little twist-off cap. Comes with a little protectant sealer, which is probably good. Oh, look at the red, it's so bright. That is a beautiful shade of red. And at this exact moment, because I'm just testing it out, I'm not using a palette. I will probably be grabbing something like that soon. Ooh. That is quite smooth. Application smooth. It's not overly thick. You can definitely add more water to kind of make it lighter in color, obviously. I'm sure you could also mix it with other paints that are the same grade. I'm not sure about using it with a regular acrylic paint. Mixing it with regular acrylic paint. I'm sure you can use them with each other if one's dry. But yeah, that is beautiful. Oh, and I do feel I need to say this now because I completely forgot towards the beginning of the video. Obviously, I'm a very small channel. I paid for this with my own money. I'm going to keep paying for it with my own money. Unless one of my family members want to give it to me as a gift for Christmas. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, this is an issue with paper. This paper from that pad that I showed you earlier is actually peeling up a little bit. So I'm going to have to be careful about how much water I use on it, even though it seems like it should be a paper where you can use water with it. But that is not the fault of the paint. That is the fault of the paper. And it looks like you can layer it up pretty well, actually, if my paper didn't suck so much. You definitely do that. Like it. As you can probably see here, it's really, really opaque. Like, this legit looks like straight up acrylic paint. But you can dilute it down really, really well into almost more of a watercolor or a typical gouache type appearance, because gouache is a water-based paint. It is more like watercolor in the ways that it applies. Not that acrylic isn't a water-based paint, but gouache applies in some ways like watercolor, where you can thin it out really, really well with water, where it's sheerer. With a lot of acrylic paint, you can shear it out with water a little bit, but it's not going to get like this level of sheer, where it literally looks like I'm just putting a really light wash watercolor on that paper. As you can kind of see here, like, that's pretty opaque right here. And it evens out, and down here it shears out quite a bit. Well, I'm going to grab a different paper for a project that I'm going to do, which I think for this, we are just going to stick with like my typical little surreal eyeball paintings, but maybe a little rougher, a little sketchier, since we have that pencil too. And I'm probably going to grab more than one brush and paint palette. I will see you soon. Okay, so before I go into complete radio silence, I'm going to point out that I have a couple more brushes set aside they're real beat up, but that's just what happens with brushes with me. Here's a big old watercolor brush to be able to cover the whole thing if I so choose. Nice little brush there, and then another little round tip, and I also have a large round. Like I said, I may or may not be using an acrylic paint marker for some of the highlights. You'll just kind of see how that turns out. My messy little watercolor palette here. So, talk to you guys soon. Have fun watching. So I started trying to do it in small little detail lines with red paint. I soon give up on that. You will in a moment see me basically do a wash all over the painting. There you go. And I was actually surprised by how well the pencil held up to this. It didn't smudge as badly as I thought it would be with it being a softer lead pencil. My favorite part of this month's box was definitely the Liquitex acrylic gouache. I love that shade of red. I love how well it works. That brush is applying it beautifully. That red just layers up really, really well. I'm able to get a couple of different shades with it by using varying amounts of water. It's just really nice. This is where I start having a couple of problems with the marker that came with it.
For some reason, when I did the testing, it went really, really well, and then the ink appeared to run out. So you can see I switched over to the pencil at certain points to try to add a little bit more shading, but this ends up not working very well for me in the long run. I grabbed a piece of scrap paper to try to ensure that the ink would flow a little bit more freely, and you'll see me going between that and the work to try to get that ink flowing just that little bit better. I also feel I need to apologize because I did not think about the shine of that graphite with a bright light shining directly down on it. Honestly, it's something I should have thought about before recording, but it is what it is. Here, I am employing a black water-based marker because that marker that came with the set just wasn't working, and honestly, this gives a little bit of a better end result, at least for what I was trying to do with this work. While I'm doing this, I actually have the marker that came with the box upside down in a cup so that that ink can kind of pool in the tip, because I thought maybe it was settled in a weird spot inside of the marker. I did get ink to settle at the edge of that marker at that tip to be able to get to flow out. Sure did. It looks like I made it explode. I stopped it and took a screenshot. I got too much of the ink right there. I think it exploded. But because I made it explode, there is ink coming out of it now. And you're going to see me shake the hell out of it a couple times to get more ink to come out, because it is going to help me with this painting.